Hey, Travis.
Yeah.
What's up?
What?
I'm thinking of a new catchphrase for the podcast.
Oh, God.
Here, let me run some by, okay? I'm a knee. No? Not quite. Okay. How about I'm a ligament? I'm an appendage. I don't know. Maybe, I'm a leg?
I like that one.
I'm a leg! Anyway, yes, welcome to the UGO podcast, and, I'm a leg edition. I'm pretty sure we're gonna call it.
Or we just call it going out on a limb.
Going out on a... Oh, now you see? Starting this podcast off strong. Like it. Anyway, this is the UGO project, or UGO podcast, or Unapologetic Geek Out podcast, and I, of course, your Merc with a mic, your host, Nick, and my fellow unapologist,
Travis.
And yeah, today we are finally going to be reviewing Voltron Season 3. So that's going to be fun. So we're going to do that later in the show, though, so we can avoid spoilers for any of our listeners who want to keep fresh on that, who might not have watched it yet. But of course, we also are going to talk about the geeky news of the week and the trailer talk, and some good stuff for this episode as well. So stick around. Hopefully you'll stick around for the Voltron review, but there's going to be some good show even if you aren't caught up quite yet. And yeah, with that we're not gonna bullshit around too much because we're gonna go right into the announcements here. As always, want to mention Tanner Hackle Designs designed our logo, the UGO of our logo. Did some great graphics design work for us. If you need some graphics design work done, give him a look. Of course, Isabella the Derpy Dragon was done for us by the lovely Kelly Main, and she did some great work for us creating our little mascot that we absolutely love. So if you need some art commission work done, you should check her out as well. And a little cut in here, some little editing magic. We actually did not see a little review thing here because we like to do the iTunes review things. This is after the episode has been recorded.
Well, mostly recorded.
Mostly recorded, given some, editing magic. But...
Sorcery!
He's an editing witch! Burn him!
Time traveler.
But yeah, we are splicing this in here because we gotta read a iTunes review that apparently just never popped up on our feed. Sorry about that. I got a little service that lets me know when there's new iTunes reviews, but it only lets me know like once a month. That's apparently
not very practical.
I thought it did it like at a better rate
when they happen.
Yeah, well, this one it says it was put out on July 15th, and I'm like, Jesus, that's like a whole month ago. Like, what the fuck, man?
That is over a month ago.
So yeah, I'm gonna look into that and see what we can do better. But anyway. Yes, if you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so by writing an iTunes review. A 5-star review will get whatever you write in that review box on the air, word for word, like I'm about to do.
Eventually.
Yep. Oh, of course, and if you have any suggestions for the podcast or just want to follow any of our other shenanigans and stuff, you can do so at unapologeticgeek.com as our webpage, as a hub for all of our social media and stuff. You can follow us on Twitter at UGO Podcast. You can give us a message on Facebook. Give us a like while you're there. You can follow us on Instagram. Some of our con pictures at UGO Podcast. And check out our YouTube channel. We got some Game of Thrones recaps up there now, as well as our Let's Plays. Injustice 2 is what we're burning through right now, but we'll have some Guardians of the Galaxy up there hopefully soon as well, the Telltale version. And yeah. Anyway, our review for this week comes from Nautica Fox. And she says, I'm assuming, Nautica sounds female. I don't know. I'm just assuming. Maybe
just
I'll make
gender neutral it.
Maybe I'll make it an ass out of me and, well, just me. But I've tried to Google search as to whether this is a normal feeling or not, but I didn't find much answers there. Who's better to ask than the man of many voices? I think that's me.
That could be you.
Many voices in my head, maybe. She continues to say, whenever I'm listening to a podcast, whether it be in the car, as I am unable to sleep due to the overwhelming fear of the color yellow, or daydreaming of having Bigfoot as my brother, I always got a random itch inside of my navel canal. I have tried scratching my navel canal with various random household items, such as carrots, my grandmother's finger, Sailor Moon's mock sword, a labyrinth worm statue, and I've even tried to pour chicken noodle soup inside of there. I wouldn't recommend the soup or your grandmother's finger. They both somehow make a flubber-like substance come out of your ear. This feeling only happens whenever I listen to either your podcast or any D&D live stream.
Fair.
Any suggestions?
Listen to our D&D podcast.
Yes.
Then see what happens.
Combine them together. And I think, yes, listen to our D&D, especially episode 2, Agni Kai. It's one of the ones I'm most proud of. But yeah, that's... Man, that one was weird. Anyway, back to our regular scheduled programming. Anyway, we got a fun show, but we do have a segment. I believe I see it right now. It's coming. Here it is. Here comes Travis. It's back. It's the Liberal Tears segment.
Oh,
what?
Yeah. I thought we weren't supposed to announce that. It's just supposed to come naturally.
Is it? Well, I think this... I could see it coming around the corner because, yes, for those of you who don't know, since this gets posted on like Saturdays, but we are recording it on a Wednesday, and the last one we put up, while it was put up on Saturday, we recorded earlier, so none of the Nazi stuff happened in the previous recordings at all. Wow. So this is the first recording we're doing post-Nazi stuff. So yeah, it's kind of the elephant in the room, and I got a personal story I wanted to talk about too for the events of Charlottesville, which are absolutely a tragedy. And I did something pretty bad. I couldn't even get mad anymore, and I don't know why, but I lost all my rage. Maybe it was the threat of nuclear war in the previous week, but I lost a lot of my will to, I don't know, fight or do anything, and it's
a little off-putting because it's really hard to stay angry when someone's not willing to stay angry with you. I was looking for some support.
No, because Travis was like super pissed, and I was just
because Nazis.
Because I'm like, and I was just like, I was trying. I'm like, yeah, also fuck them too, yeah. And I'm like, my heart just wasn't in it, and I basically just took a break like this whole weekend and just did editing, and I watched Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt season 3 instead. And even that didn't make me happy, and I love that show. Yeah, it was a hard thing to just sit around and watch. And maybe it was like cuz I didn't make any Facebook posts or Twitter stuff or anything like that until a little later, cuz it's, I don't know, I guess my lane is more to be snarky and leave a sardonic comment or whatever. That's more my lane. And there's not just a lot funny about what happened. No. So, I did finally get back into it. I think I started to leave posts about, what I feel bad for everyone involved and everything. But what also I feel bad for is just the poor son of a bitch that started a tiki torch company, like a manufacturing company. I think
they actually the people who made those made a comment saying...
Made a huge statement about it. Because now, if I'm like one of those manufacturers, I'd be like, what? What the fuck? Why? like make your own torches. Like, go old school about it. Like, why are you you go like a lazy man's white nationalist? Goddamn.
Jeez, I was thinking the worst kind.
But yeah, so I it took me a little while to find my anger again, and I was feeling all bad about it. But then it came from the most unlikely of sources. Our great president himself,
our fascist in chief,
Donald on many sides, Trump, and that comment stirred a little fire in me, but it wasn't quite enough. So that that press conference where he was just you know, when a guy has said something, like, you know, you'll have someone who says something, like, just completely wrong. Like, remember when Sean Spicer, like, did the Hitler comment?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, man, that was prescient. But he kept trying to talk himself out of it. Well, then, like, try to make excuses, like, well, this is, like, but no, what you guys don't understand, like, no, wait. And that's what basically just Trump did, and it was just like, oh my god, I actually got this big smile on my face because my heart grew 3 sizes that day in hatred, because I could feel anger yet again, and I was like, Donald, you helped me find my scowl. Aw, buddy. Anyway, I just wanted to make a little announcement that, yeah, this podcast is a Nazi-free zone. So, like, if somehow you have not figured,
I mean, you must have not listened to anything we've done, really.
Yeah, I would say that, like, we don't usually bring politics into it like super heavy, but every once in a while, it's not
the liberals here section happens.
Like yeah, we have a segment, a reoccurring pop-up segment that's called Liberal Tears. So, ironically as well. So, yeah. I mean, I'm sure if Fox could get away with it, they would have a Liberal Tears segment as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually had to explain to someone why I was so freaked out by this, which is baffling to me in the first place, why I explained it. And this is how I actually did it. It's like, well, these people used to have to hide under hoods.
Yeah.
And they're like the darkest part of our country.
Mm-hmm.
And if the darkness no longer has to hide in shadows, that probably means the rest of the nation is really dark.
Well, I'm like, because we're still dealing with the fallout even now. But, what I like to think of it is that, they think that there are more of them than there actually are. Which, there are way too many of them, don't get me wrong, there's a surprising amount. Many. But, I think that they've been overconfident. They feel like they're finally gaining ground in the war that they are losing, even in their own minds. Even in their own minds, they think they're losing. So, yeah. And if you look at the pictures, I'm just like looking at all these white, like khaki wearing douchebags, and I'm just like, God, you guys are a bunch of losers. Like, that's what really makes me mad about is that, like, it's like, we can't even get, like, the cool Nazis from the Indiana Jones movies. We get these, like, douche bro ones. I'm like, God damn it. Like, we're not even getting cool villains to fight. Just these lame guys.
They probably hand out fedoras.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that, like, now that there are consequences for anyone that's getting identified.
So many of them are getting doxxed, and it's hilarious.
Although now I am seeing that there are a couple people getting caught up to where they just look like the guy in the picture. So that's a shame. I don't think that means we should stop doing it, though.
Honestly.
I mean, I feel bad that you got caught up in it. Like, I totally get it. But, you know, I think that now that they've seen that, like, you know, I think there's a misconception of it's cool to be racist again, right? And hopefully the message that we'll get after this is like, no, it's still not cool to be racist.
I certainly hope so.
And then, you know, I love the fact that the whole idea that they were there to protest was a statue of Robert E. Lee, a Confederate statue, and I'm like, you know what? Pick one, guys. Either are we supposed to be like, you know,
patriots,
or well, even then, it's like the conservative thinking is that, like, we shouldn't give participation trophies to everyone, right? Winners are winners. And I'm like, you guys are worshiping losers.
Yeah. He's a traitor and a loser.
Yeah, he's like, they all lost the war. You guys remember that? They couldn't win. And it wasn't because of, like, liberal snowflakes or whatever. They lost a legit war. And, like, you guys are on the side of the losers. Like, both sides, Nazis, Confederacy, you're both fucking losers and lame. And, like, yeah, but we want to protect our history, and like, yeah, well, coming from another white person, yeah, I don't need to be reminded of that every day and take that into my personal heritage. Like, I don't
definitely not be proud of it.
I don't want to be. I don't like being reminded that I come from a people that basically their claim to fame was
genocide,
coming to certain to other places, murdering and or enslaving the indigenous population of said place. But for some reason, you guys really want to remember it. and still don't want to be thinking like, well, it's not because we're racist, and yeah, you are. So that's another weird thing too, is just how many people still coming out of like, well, we're not Nazis, we were there to like protest in a different way. Like even
except for the fact that there was a Nazi flag standing next to a Confederate flag.
Look, and that's the thing, man. Is that it's like we live in a place where perception is reality. So if you're standing next to a Nazi, it's like you can't like excuse me if I confuse you, because you do look the same to me. I mean, come on, you all did have that same white boy preppy douche look.
I'm actually kind of surprised people can dox these guys, because I think that would happen a lot, where you get the wrong guy. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you're just a random white person.
Yeah, then I was scared because I
bet you were,
because I thought I was gonna get dinged, because I was looking in there and it was like, God damn it, why do a lot of these guys look like me? Fuck. Like I was looking at like that guy. Oh, I could be confused with that guy. Maybe that guy if I grew a beard. Well, I've never grown a hipster mustache, so I'm good with that guy. I was a little nervous, I'll tell you what. But yeah, again, I guess just fuck Nazis will be our
and the KKK. Let's not forget that one.
Yeah, and the KKK and white supremacy and all that other bad stuff.
And the alt-right, because they want to rebrand themselves. Fine, we'll hate that too. I don't care.
Yeah, and it's I don't like living in a place where I have to reaffirm.
Actually, branding sounds like a good idea. We should just brand them all.
Yeah, because I don't like being in a place where we all have to like affirm that we're not with Nazis. I kind of liked it back when that was a default, when people could just assume that, oh, well, you probably aren't, like, because it's a weird outlier to be supportive of Nazis. So I liked it back when people could just look at me and assume that I wasn't a Nazi sympathizer. But now, we gotta proclaim otherwise.
Yeah.
Which is annoying, but I guess necessary now. So that's just that's just the place we live in. So whatever. But yay, I get to be angry again. Yay. So that was the lead up to that story, right? I didn't have really anywhere I was going with that. Just kind of like,
that was part of the general announcement section.
Yeah, that was it. But with that, do we want to get into some news?
Sure.
Yeah, let's get into the news, because like after that, I know I want to get into it. Oh, how about this? Speaking of Nazis, Disney's Animal Kingdom is planning a Indiana Jones land. So that'd be kind of cool. I think it might be, it's really early word yet, but it should be off the heels of like the Star Wars land that they're already building. They got another couple other things in there too, right? Like they have that
what's Harry Potter one.
Well, that's Universal.
Oh yeah, I think it is.
And but no, they have the Avatar one. Yeah, Avatar Land, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I think that would be a really cool, fun, place to go. Like in case we run out of real Nazis to punch, we can go in there and like set up to maybe so guests can punch some fake ones. Although how rad now I'm thinking about it, how rad would it have been if one of the protesters at Charlottesville just brought an Ark of the Covenant? Like wouldn't that be great? It's just like, I just brought this just in case things get bad.
Yeah, clear the room.
Just remember, don't look. Don't look, Marion. But yeah, I'm thinking like we're gonna have some cool stuff, like maybe the minecart ride from Legends, the Temple of Doom. I wouldn't put the racist parts into Temple of Doom. That's just me.
Gotta remember our history, Nick.
Gotta remember our incorrect history of the Indian people. Or Hindu, I forget like what religion or group of people they were actually representing, but I don't think they ate chilled monkey brains like out of like head bowls. Maybe like a truck sequence. Like they already have that show there that's like a stunt show, if I remember right. In the other Disney park that I used to love to visit. But yeah, very, very exciting. We're going through basically all of Spielberg, so the only thing left is actually to create a Jurassic Park.
No.
And we don't
still no.
And we don't do that because we've like
that's the one thing we don't do.
Well, man, it's gonna be really cool. It'd be so meta to create a whole Jurassic Park sequence. Like, fuck that.
Would it be called the Jurassic Park then?
Like, even if you made it out of the robots, even the robots would somehow gain sentience, Westworld style.
That'd be even worse.
Just get fucked up. Yeah. Oh yeah, here's a big one here. We have, CinemaSins got in trouble.
Really?
Well, not really in trouble, but like they're catching some heat right now. Like they're not in like any kind of actually trouble. But
no legal
like,
action.
Apparently, like one of the directors of their movies, I think they just did a video on Kong Skull Island, and I think the director there was kind of went after him a little bit, put him on blast about some of the stuff that they actually, because some of their stuff was albeit incorrect, and some of it was just they felt was unfair criticism. And I don't know how you feel about CinemaSins in general. I know maybe I should ask Kyle before texted him, but because I know he watches it sometimes too. I watch it every once in a while. I prefer honest trailers to be honest. Forgive the pun. And there's if those you don't know, CinemaSins is a YouTube channel that posts videos called like Everything Wrong With, and then title movie, like everything wrong with the Matrix in under 7 minutes or something. Only now that their episodes are longer because YouTube changed its algorithm where it prefers longer videos with more continuous views than separate click videos.
Right.
So now their episodes are a little longer. They're not as like the audio is not as fast. So a lot of them are creeping up on like 20-minute videos.
I don't like that as much.
Well, when the whole joke is you're going to count every little logical fallacy in a movie, I feel like shorter is better.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they are like some of them. It's like they are funny. Like they have certain running jokes and stuff. Of like I always like it when they're like whenever someone's running away from something and they don't like run to the side. It's like someone went to the Prometheus school of running away from stuff. And so it's not like they're not funny. It's just that like sometimes during a 20-minute video, you're kind of like, really, are we stopping to critique this? Can't we move on to the next thing?
You run out of actual important things to critique.
Yeah, and then in the Kong Skull Island one, they get like they get one of the actors in the scenes actually wrong, and then one of their criticisms is like not seeing Kong get eaten by one of the crew, Kong not eating one of the crew, and it cuts to someone taking a bite out of a sandwich. And I think their point was like, why would it have killed us to see Kong graphically eat that guy, considering we get a graphic death with that spider shooting his leg in that guy's face in a later scene? And the director did go up and go like, yeah, I could have, but it was a stylistic choice to not show that and lead it. It's called a transition, like it's called. I forget what he called it, but an optical transition. It was an obvious thing to do.
It's pretty common tactic.
Yeah, and it's like it's one thing to count a mistake among the CinemaSins, but like, well, this is just a choice that you seem to not agree with, but like, there's a reason I did it, and like, yeah, I could have showed the guy getting eaten, but it would have really been all that much better.
Nah,
Yeah, and then, I think that CinemaSins has its place, but like I think that their sardonic, like sarcastic wit is very good for certain situations, and like they're only really fun to watch if you already don't like the movie that they're reviewing.
I actually have fun watching some of the even movies I do like, honestly.
Sure.
I've never had them change my opinion of a movie.
No, I mean, there are some of them where I remember like the Maleficent one, where I'm like, I know we're one of the only people that
we're two people in existence that actually like that movie.
Yeah, and it's just like, I just, especially when the longer their video goes, I just get a little, sometimes I'll get a little tired of like, really, this is what we're bitching about? But I don't know. I don't know where I come down on that. I feel like, they're just a YouTube channel. Like they're not on like any other YouTube review channel.
Yeah, it's still just a review.
So I don't think it's like that big a deal. I think like, especially with a movie that actually is fun to watch, like Kong Skull Island. I don't know. I'd say like, don't worry about it. You'll make money on the DVD sales. It's all right. Especially since the videos only come out when the DVD movies like actually come out. It's not like they hurt box office at all.
Right.
They're like one of the last people to actually put reviews on for movies, you know.
Plus, whatever happened to no publicity is bad publicity.
Yeah. Well, what I think is that why I think Honest Trailers is probably a little bit more fun to watch is just that Honest Trailers do a very similar thing, but they're super fucking short. Like the longest of their videos is like 5 minutes, and like they actually mention they'll actually mention some stuff like this doesn't really make any sense. I always remember like in the Avengers movies like it doesn't really make sense that the Hulk just gets random random control of his powers, but then even the announcer goes like, whoa, he just punched that fucking awesome like Chitauri warship. That was like, what was I mad about like 2 seconds ago? Like they'll acknowledge that like some of their problems are nitpicks and not very
they don't detract from the movie.
Yeah. And then like I remember their Winter Soldier one was like, and Winter Soldier, which is a really fucking good movie. Sorry, we're honest, so get ready for 2 minutes of nitpicking. Because they will recognize that like, yes, some of like we'll make fun of stuff that isn't like logical. I think they're like it's more open and more understood that like this is like we actually have fun with this film. Like it's a really good film, but like there are like logical fallacies we could make fun of, but it in no way detracts from our enjoyment of the film. So yeah, I don't know. Like maybe CinemaSins just needs to like maybe like if they can crop back down, like maybe not make such as long videos, and just maybe get a little more on track to where they were originally. Because I thought like some of their earlier stuff was actually more like right on the razor's edge of like this was fun to watch, like to count some stuff up. But they never really get a chance, since they're always talking about the negatives. They never really get a chance to like, but here's a cool thing that this negative thing actually might lead to.
Right.
But with that, what's our next story here? Luc Besson, speaking of criticism.
Oh, God.
He had some criticism to throw at superhero films recently.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently that's like one of the popular things to hate if you're in cinemas right now is just like, we got, superhero films. I think what we were saying that, the problem I have about superhero films is that, there's this guy, he has superpowers. I can't relate to that. I don't have a superpower. So the best I can go is like be the guy that he saves and go like, oh, thanks for saving me, and that's like it. And I don't like not having a connection to the hero.
Can I just make a suggestion for him?
Yeah.
Never watch an autobiography of a good filmmaker then.
Yeah.
Because you probably can't relate.
Well, the thing is that I'm like, you just made Valerian of 1,000 Planets. That has a guy that's a space marine that goes around and jumps, and does crazy space missions. I don't do crazy space missions.
No.
I don't meet aliens. How am I supposed to reflect? That's a stupid fucking argument.
It really is.
Like, it is a dumb argument.
Like, that's right, that's basically right above saying I can't relate to someone because they're a different race than me, honestly.
Well, and then he says about Captain America, it's like, what bothers me most is Captain America, he's always here to show the supremacy of America and how that they are great. I mean, which country in the world would have the guts to call a film Captain Brazil or Captain France? I mean, no one. We would be like so ashamed and say, no, come on, we can't do that. They can. They can call it Captain America and everybody thinks it's normal. I'm not here for propaganda. I'm here to tell a story. Well, fuck you. You obviously have not even watched Captain America or any of the Captain America movies then. They directly make fun of the propaganda in the first movie.
Yep. And the second movie is not exactly, fuck yeah, America.
Well, look, this feels like he hasn't watched the movie because this was my criticism of Captain America before the movie came out.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I don't see how this is going to work and feel like it's not just like
Campy.
America, fuck yeah, sort of thing. And yeah, that was like, but again, I saw the movie and I was like, oh wow, they actually did something pretty clever here.
They subverted expectations. How about that?
And Besson is like, people are saying like, it could possibly be because his film Valerian isn't doing very well.
Shocking how that happens.
And Sour Grapes. I'm going to go one further and say, yeah, it's definitely because of that, you grumpy fuck.
Well, geez, that's been happening a lot recently, where crappy films are being made, and then their creators are getting angry at good films, just because the good films out there happen to be superhero films.
Well, look, and so his recent film Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, which, one, is too fucking long of a title. That's a shitty title. Like, I don't want to go see a movie that's titled that. Problem one. It sits at 51% on the Rotten Tomatoes, and it's currently made only $90 million of a near $200 million budget.
Wow.
So, yeah, and look, it's like, from what I have not seen it because I've heard it was a bad movie, but like everyone who has come out to see it is the general consensus is like, yeah, it's just not very good. It's pretty boring. It's very muddled and confused, and it sounds like a Luc Besson film to me. I have seen Lucy, and that film was also boring. It didn't make a lot of sense. Luc Besson strikes me as a filmmaker who thinks he's smarter than he is, and his head is firmly up his own ass when it comes to his filmmaking style. And it seems like he's just striking out on people like, you just don't get it. You don't get my films. And I'm like, well, yeah, but at what point do you self-reflect and go, maybe the problem is me? Like,
yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing is like, yeah, so I don't get your film. So what? Like, I don't have to go see it because of that.
Well, then it's like, you know, criticizing superhero films and like the, you know, being the new big budget tentpole films. I'm like, well, maybe you shouldn't make big budget films then. Like, why would you make a film with a $200 million budget? Make an indie film, and then we'll all like, and then you can complain about how people just didn't get it. It's more in line with.
It's more a valid argument then.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm just so sick of this whole like, you know, argument of like, you know, superhero films, like they just don't get it. They just don't appeal to me. I just don't understand.
Similar to that one from Gods of Egypt too. Same argument.
Yeah, this director like, well, you know, the critics and like it's always a fucking excuse. And I'm just like, look, people didn't like your film. Just take your licks, lick your wounds, and go make a better one. Go train. Go Bruce Lee. Go into the woods. Get your bamboo and fucking practice.
Or maybe just actually watch some of those films and maybe try to see why people like them.
Well, look, one of the problems Luc Besson has, which some of the other directors have quite a bit, which I think that some of the other directors have, is that he's stuck in his own time period. He's never evolved past the 90s in his filmmaking. And I'm just like, dude, you're making films that are like 20 years behind the curve. Like, we have... You gotta take in the cultural zeitgeist when you're making a film, like what the current trends are and like what people want from a movie. And if you want to make your own movie that's satisfying to you, fine, but just don't get pissy when people don't go and see it because they don't like they just don't get what your perspective.
If you're gonna masturbate, don't be shocked when not everyone wants to watch.
But yeah. Let's see, what else? So we maybe get some more, you know, uplifting news. Let's see what we got here. Walking Dead is, the creator of Walking Dead is suing, AMC. Well, that's not great. That doesn't seem right.
And why is he suing AMC?
It's over, rights of how much I think they're getting paid per episode, some of the creatives. Apparently... AMC might be paying their in-house production studio a little bit more, since they own Walking Dead rather than leasing it like they did with Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul.
Okay.
So, I don't know, like I didn't get a chance because I was trying to look through it before the show, but it's a very kind of complicated like legal thing of what's going on. Yeah, so this, what was it today? Here's an excerpt from the complaint, which was filed in the Los Angeles Superior Court today. So here's an excerpt. This case arises from a major entertainment conglomerate's failure to honor its contractual obligations to the creative people, the talent in the industry jargon. Behind the wildly successful and hugely profitable long-running television series The Walking Dead, the defendant AMC entities exploited their vertically integrated corporate structure to combine both the production and the exhibition of The Walking Dead, which allowed AMC to keep the lion's share of the series' enormous profits for itself and not share it with the plaintiffs as required by their contracts. So, a lot of technical jargon and stuff, and the statement goes on about their conglomerate or them consolidating some sort of production thing. But the long and short of it is that Kirkman and the talent feel like that they've subverted some sort of clause in their contract to try and get out of paying them what they're due. And I don't know, it would take like a legal expert to kind of explain to me, like, it sounds like something a big company like that would do, but I don't know. I just don't know like what the legal standing there is, and I don't know what their contracts are. But AMC also released a statement that was pretty typical and also maybe a little passive aggressive. They were stated saying these kinds of lawsuits are fairly common in entertainment, and they all have one thing in common: they follow success. Virtually every studio that has had a successful show has been the target of a litigation like this, and The Walking Dead has been the #1 show on television for 5 years in a row, so this is no surprise. We have enormous respect and appreciation for these plaintiffs, and we will continue to work with them as partners, even as we vigorously defend against the baseless and predictably opportunistic lawsuit.
Yeah, not a surprising statement from them, but a little passive-aggressive. Still,
it's like, ooh, I wonder if it's going to be hard to see the new season through all this shade that's going to be on the production. But yeah, that's troubling, because that's always a mark of a show not struggling, is that the fighting between the creative staff and the production people. Like, that's never a good sign. But otherwise, I don't know. Now, the only thing I can go off is just what it sounds like, because I don't know all the details, and I don't want to make a huge statement against AMC, but it does sound like something that like they would do. Like, I mean, not one to cast stones, but again, I don't know the whole story. I think that their statement is always like, these kinds of lawsuits always follow success. I think that's a kind of a misleading statement, because, well, yeah, what would be the point of suing
someone that's failed?
So that's failing. It's not like that. It's not like failing shows don't screw people over. It's just not very profitable to sue a failing show.
True.
So I feel like that statement's kind of like, that's misleading. But other than that, I've pretty much stopped watching The Walking Dead, so I'm not very concerned whether or not this affects production or anything. So, because I'm finally out, and I'm not going back.
Yeah,
so
heard that before.
Well, this one I'm actually for this one at Agents of Shades of S.H.I.E.L.D. Although now I keep hearing that from everyone, I've told like, no, you should jump in on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 4. It actually got pretty good again. And now, from what I hear for this latest season, they somehow end up in space.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like, well, that sounds at least kind of neat. For The Walking Dead, the only thing I hear is just like, yeah, Negan's not as cool as we thought he was going to be, and like no one has told me that I should go back.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, yeah, that's good, because that's easier for me to stay away from it then. Yeah. Speaking of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and some Marvel stuff, Sam Jackson apparently will not be in either Avengers 3 and 4, or let's see, I think he was not going to be in another big movie too, or Black Panther.
Huh.
Yeah. So he's not going to be in the first Infinity War movie. He's not going to be in Black Panther, and he's not going to be in the untitled Avengers Infinity War movie.
I can see him not being in Black Panther, because that's going to be a pretty secular movie overall. It's going to be in its own area, but
pretty insular.
Yeah. But not being in Avengers is kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, he ever since like Captain America: Winter Soldier, he's been kind of off doing his own thing. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm not sure like what maybe they apparently he's going to be in the new Miss Marvel movie. Like that's what his next movie is going to be.
All right.
Apparently Sam Jackson, his quota is not being too thrilled about it either. He was quoted as saying, "I wasn't in the superhero argument movie," referring to Captain America Civil War. "I'm not in Avengers 3 and 4. They're shooting them now and they haven't even called me. They wouldn't let me go to Black Pantherville, so it's kind of like, how are you going to make a Black Marvel movie and not let Nick Fury show up in it?"
He's got a point there.
I mean, yeah, like, I don't disagree. And I know Sam Jackson, he's the one that he always likes to work. He likes to keep working. He's one of those guys that I think he's one of those people that realizes that I'm very popular and I'm very in the cultural zeitgeist, but I think he knows that if he leaves the cultural eye for too long, we will kind of forget about it. Like, cause and I'm not sure if that's true. But I've seen it happen with a lot of other people.
Right.
So yeah, I can see, why he might be a little bit like, hey, am I going to be in a Avengers movie ever again? Because I kind of want to be.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, and I want him to be too, to be completely honest.
Oh yeah, he's entertaining.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had some interesting news about you remember this poster for Spider-Man Homecoming with Tom Holland napping?
Yeah.
Apparently that poster, it wasn't a photo shoot. That is a photoshopped image of him when he was actually napping between takes on set. So, like, yeah, he was really tired between certain takes, so that was him, like, laying down and just kind of, like, resting his eyes for a minute. So...
Not that we can tell.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think he was quoted as saying, "We were shooting this scene and I was just really tired that day and I was just asleep on the floor and the photographer took a picture. So when they made that poster, I was just like, what the hell, guys?" So, yeah, it's just another kind of funny, story behind that movie and the filmmaking, which is really fun to me because it's actually a really fun poster. It's a really cool poster of him kind of, like, relaxing. Like, it's a really, like, it is a neat kind of poster with him in the backdrop. Like, we even saw a standee when we, like, that was of that when we went to go see it. So I was like, that's a fun image, and it's just a fun story on how
it's a good feel for the movie.
Yeah. Maybe, maybe in the next, like, Avengers movie, Hulk can take a nap or something, and just, like, and we'll get another neat picture. Maybe just a whole series of Avengers nap buddies.
That can be the new poster thing. Instead of just their heads or standing or anything like that, it'd be like napping.
Like maybe instead of for Civil War, it was like Captain America and Iron Man, like, against each other, all tuckered out after fighting. Like, oh, they're all tuckered out. They're all tired.
The naps in. They're old.
So cute. Oh yeah, we have news from Star Wars, The Last Jedi. We're getting a lot of news lately about it. The one piece of news that I was excited about was that Captain Phasma, is going to be in a more action-driven role.
Cool.
In the sequel, which is a nice way of titling it. I would have titled it Captain Phasma will actually do something in the next film. Because remember when we were all excited about, like, whoa, that fucking chrome stormtrooper is fucking rad. I wonder what that person's gonna do. And they were all like, what? It's a female stormtrooper? And it's fucking Brienne from fucking, from Game of Thrones? What? Like, it was like this big fucking lead up to it. And I'm not sure if anyone remembers, like, that big hubbub that it caused, but it all felt kind of like, oh,
that was it.
Well, that was it. And I realized that probably wasn't, like, they made the film and they weren't probably in charge of marketing it, and was just like, we showed a shot of a chrome stormtrooper. Like, it was like, they're not that big of a deal in the story.
Rewrites.
But yeah, that's fun. Obviously she survived her encounter with a trash compactor.
Yeah.
Which is good. Let's see, what else? Oh, we got the new pictures for Cable and Domino for Deadpool 2. Yeah, and as far as Cable goes, like, for Josh Brolin as Cable, I'm just like, oh, goddamn, he looks exactly like Cable.
I wouldn't know.
He looks super a lot like him. And then there's a big controversy over Domino as well, which is, since she is being played by a black actress, we were gonna see that. The thing is that her look is a little bit different than it is in the comics, because in the comics she is like a mutant that has like white like skin and like this weird kind of like black mark on her face that I'm not sure if that's like, I actually don't know a whole lot about Domino. I'm not sure if that's like a makeup thing or if that's part of her mutant part, is that she's like albino white. And so let's see, what was this? Zazie Betts is the actress that's going to be playing her. And I kind of like she's got a similar photo. Remember the photo with Deadpool on a bearskin rug? Yeah. She's got one where it's her on a Deadpool suit, which is pretty fun. She's got this afro. She's got this like Pam Grier like 80s blaxploitation look that I actually kind of like. I do get some of the I guess I do get some of the complaints of like, since Cable and Deadpool's costumes are so fucking accurate, like they look so accurate to the comics, that I can get that sort of complaint. But I also get that, like, yeah, but there's also racist people that just didn't like wanna that her, because Deadpool's girlfriend in the first movie is also a character called Copycat, I think, that doesn't look anything like she does in the first movie, as well as Weasel from the first movie. So obviously, like, Domino's probably a more popular character, but it's kind of like, what were the difference between those other two people that you didn't get mad there?
Ding, ding, ding.
Seems odd. Anyway, yeah, I'm super excited, and I don't really mind the redesign at all. I think it'll be a super fun film.
Of course.
And
it's Deadpool.
It's Deadpool. And yeah, I'm super excited for it. Cannot wait. And with that, that's pretty much all I had for news today, unless you had anything, my friend.
I did have one thing.
Yeah, one. Yeah.
A little bit more legal issues. Mm-hmm. So you hear that the Movie Pass reduced their actual like cost like $10 a month now?
Yes.
So that's kind of interesting, and AMC theaters didn't quite like that.
No, I think they're trying to like get to a point where more people are using their service now, even if they have to even if the Movie Pass people have to lose money.
Yeah,
and so
they're definitely losing money.
And I'm not sure, I'm not sure how the AMC or any theater really is doing with that, since like I'm not sure if they have a deal with them or not.
Well, no, AMC is apparently trying to basically take up legal action to prevent that service from being used in their theaters.
Yeah, that's a nasty struggle right there. Because on one level, I get the Movie Pass people trying to make it as convenient and well, maybe not as convenient, because I know some of the rules for their passes are kind of pretty arbitrary.
Yeah, like you can only watch like one a day. I know that.
So some of those are like, but they're trying to become more competitive, and I get that. But also the AMC theaters are trying to like, look, we're struggling, and we're like, because the actual theaters are actually struggling enough. Like, we always complain about Hollywood, like, we're not making as much money. And we're like, you guys are doing fine.
Yeah,
shut the fuck up. The actual theaters are the ones that are actually kind of like, yeah, we have a hard time, like, because we don't like having to raise movie ticket prices, and concessions are always expensive because we're just not making as much money. So I get where they're coming from at it too. I don't know. I kind of like. I do like the idea of like a Movie Pass, of just like, hey, I go to the movies often enough. I want to make it to where I can save some money, and
Well, you say you go see 2 movies a month, and you're basically making bank off that.
Yeah, like for whatever their new price is, like if they're reducing it by $10, that's
no, but they're reducing it to $10.
That's right.
It's like $9.95 or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah. Once you see your second movie, you've already saved money.
Now, technically, a lot of times it's like the first movie be saving money, actually.
Depends on where you are.
And when you go.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm not sure. And also, that actually reminds me of another story, too, because I was hearing about Netflix being in debt, which was interesting because it came out recently that Netflix is actually about $20 billion in debt. In the red, yeah. But it's a little misleading because some people are pointing to that and going like, well, so much for Netflix being like the god among streaming services, right? And it's like, well, the story is a little more complicated than that. Because the reason that they're $20 billion in debt is that they've recently went out to license their own original property, and they've gone in debt to make their own original content. And the reason that they are doing that is because, well, Netflix has actually been pretty smart about the whole people leaving their streaming services sort of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like they've seen that coming way longer than anyone else actually.
It almost seems like part of their plan.
Yeah, I think that they've incorporated that into part of their structure to the point where like, okay, we have to be a channel like HBO or FX or something where it's like we actually have great creative shows that people will want to come and see just for us that they can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because, they've lost the Disney thing. Although I think the Disney Marvel shows are still with them. Like the
Defenders.
The Defenders and stuff. I think those guys are still with, like, they'll keep the Netflix because they are under the Netflix banner. Which is interesting. But yeah, they're going to be losing all the classic Disney movies and all that other stuff. They just picked up Mark Millar has all his catalog. Netflix just picked up for their own content as well. So, and then they said that this is their plan specifically in it. These stockholders that also have seen the numbers have not fled Netflix either.
Right. So
obviously they believe in the plan as well. I think their annual revenue is still somewhere like in $2 billion. So they are investing in the future, I think, rather than
any short-term losses.
Yeah, I think that they're still cool. Like the only thing that could really shake them up is that if there's some sort of mass like exodus from Netflix, if they like lost a bunch of subscribers at once, which I just don't see happening.
No.
Because Netflix is just one of those services that you just kind of like keep on, like what's it, like $9 a month? Like even if you don't watch it for a month, it's like, I lost out on $9. And it's like, but it's got like, there's plenty of content on there that you can, go on and watch and just rewatch.
Yeah.
And it's
Heck,
again,
we're talking about the content today. That's the episode we're doing.
Yeah, and it's it's a convenience thing. Oh yeah, we gotta talk about some of their content as well. With because now they're getting into animation, they're getting into dramas, comedies. I really liked their zombie show, the Santa Clarita Diet. I thought that was funny. So they're really trying to stretch their portfolio, and I think that's probably a good long-term plan. Yeah. I think, in my opinion. So I think if any subscription services are in trouble, I think it's the smaller like ones that are like CBS or All Access or something. I think FX is going to do one now, but really? FX is going to be free.
Oh,
like theirs is free. Like that you just like you can just watch.
Take it.
Which is be cool. I since I miss out. I miss some of my FX shows. I don't like having to wait for Archer to come out on DVD a year afterwards or whatever. Or on Netflix, yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting thing. But with that, we're gonna take a break, and we'll be back with the trailer talk right after Tom loads up the trailers. Tom, load up the trailers.
Yo, Tom from Toonami here. You're listening to the UGO podcast, and I hope y'all are ready because trailer talk starts now.
Come on. Here we go. Alright, and we're back, and we're ready for the trailer talk. Thanks, Tom, for loading up those trailers. We only got 2 today.
And
one is going to be pretty self-indulgent because we're going to watch another Thor trailer.
Did we just do that?
I know. It feels like I think we've already watched like 2 Thor trailers. One was a teaser, and this is the international trailer. And yeah, we're basically only watching it because I'm super excited about this film, and I kind of want to talk about it more. So, without further ado, let's watch the international trailer for Thor Ragnarok.
Thor, I sense a great change in your future. Destiny has dire plans for you, my friend.
Hey, Stranger's back.
Plans for Destiny. Hello, the goddess of death has invaded Asgard.
I thought you'd be glad to see me. Asgard.
I actually really love that thing here.
It'll be reborn.
Looks like it feels really good to put it on too. She always puts it on super sexily. She puts that headdress on the same way I rub my nipples. I love the fist bump.
I didn't even know that part.
Surprise! This will be such fun.
Hello. Yeah, I kind of like the fact that we're going to basically full idiot with Thor now.
I'm not a queen or a monster.
I kind of feel like Chris Hemsworth was like, you know what I really like playing? The idiot in Ghostbusters. Can we do more of that?
What were you the god of again?
The same, you and I. Just a couple of hot-headed fools. But Hulk like raging fire. Thor like smoldering fire.
Bitchin'. So, yeah, that was the trailer for Thor Ragnarok.
Didn't really have enough to warrant watching it.
Well, I like the, there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about. Okay. One is that the Doctor Strange in the beginning part of it, that's pretty cool.
That was different.
I'm wondering if that's a large part. I'm sure won't be in a lot of the movie, but I do like seeing him in it, that's for sure. I like Valkyrie's walk, like her slow motion walk, as cliche as that is. I'm just like, God damn, that looks awesome. I do like the cute little moment of, like you were saying, Chris Hemsworth character from the Ghostbusters movie popping up a little bit more.
Yeah.
And his other performances like, hello. And, yeah, I just love, Kate Blanchett as Hela is really she's doing it for me. She is selling this, like, she is, I don't know, like, she is on board with, like, you will remember me, god damn it.
I will not be the forgettable Thor villain number 3.
Like, yeah, no, I'm not doing this as, like, the fucking Dark Elf from 2 or whatever, or anything like that. I'm in this, alright?
I will not be overshadowed by Loki.
I'm not gonna be fucking Whiplash from Iron Man 2 or the Mandarin or whatever, like another fucking villains you forget were even in this MCU. You will remember I was in here, god damn it.
I mean, considering she's the goddess of death, I would kind of hope so.
No, she's the goddess of death.
Fine.
Like how she says it is just like, Jesus, okay.
She's very excited about her job. She likes going to work, Nick.
You gotta respect somebody that is that dedicated to what they do. Also, I feel like all trailers are enhanced by a Japanese guy screaming in it. Like, just...
And Valkyries. And flying Valkyries. Because, let's face it, I'd watch that anytime.
Flying Valkyries! I feel like that adds to my enhancement of just like, oh shit, this is exciting. Look, listen how excited he is.
If he's excited, we've got to be excited too,
if he's this excited, I gotta be at least at this level. But yeah, pretty much the business as usual for the Thor trailer. Like, yeah, I really want to see it. Nothing's really changed. Just excited seeing anything new about it. But with that, we have another superhero movie or superhero trailer to talk about.
Really?
Yeah, because we got. You remember the Return of the Caped Crusaders, correct?
I do.
Well, we have the last performance by Adam West as Batman in the sequel to that animated movie, which I quite enjoyed. I thought was hilarious.
It was fun.
I thought it was very funny. And we have the sequel here with called Batman vs. Two-Face, with Two-Face being played by William Shatner, of all people. Yes. I haven't even seen the trailer yet, and I'm like, no, that is fantastic.
Can you just stop right here? I'm good.
Yeah, let's just talk about the trailer right now. So that was a really good trailer.
Hilarious.
Like, my God, that was so... And we heard, like, Two-Face, it was Shatner. No, that's actually shit.
Instigate the extractor protocol!
Radio, Doc.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Behold, my evil extractor!
The evil extractor.
You're trying to overwhelm the machine with the eagle! Shut it down!
Maybe you should try it on one person first, you dumbass.
Yeah.
It's a double cross. All signs pointing to
Two-Face. I won't rest until we get to the bottom of this.
the game is afoot, Mr. Dent.
Get the lead out, or I'll put the lead in. I can't go on like this. I insist you stop this madness.
Look, pretty boy, we had a deal.
Oh my God, I would watch an hour of William Shatner argue with himself.
All the villains of Gotham. Soon the secret will be exposed for all of Gotham to see. To the Batmobile.
Yeah, only the dynamic duo has stand a chance. The police force are useless.
They're really dumb.
Get them, boys. You'll never take me alive. Keep covered. Harvey, stay strong.
It actually seems a little bit more serious.
Now it's your turn, Robin. The boy guinea pig.
You'll never figure out how to use that without...
UGO strange? You know what they say. If you can't kill them in a horrible lab experiment, join them.
It's funny. I don't even think Hugo Strange was part of that original 60s show.
No.
And the girl behind him, I was like, wait, was that supposed to be Harley? Like,
yeah, kind of.
Like, I mean, I'm not sure. Like, she's a blonde, so I was wondering, because she wasn't part of the 60s show as well.
She definitely wasn't.
God damn it. I can't, like, there is, whoever cast, like, William Shatner as Two-Face for the, animated version of the 60s Batman show, kudos, my friend. You are a genius. You are ingenious, because what actor do you get to put on this level of, you need to be, like...
Either to be nothing or all, no in between.
Yes, or it's like, you have to sell this ridiculous performance and be 100% earnest the whole time. Yes, Shatner is complete, and he's on the phone arguing with himself, and he's like at the two different extremes, and I'm just like, yeah, this is I'm in this for all of it. We get a deliciously evil setup for Two-Face 2, which is just like they try to extract all the evil from the villains of Gotham.
Why wouldn't you just try one?
Well, now we're getting the semantics of, because we have to bypass the whole ridiculous of extracting the evil out of someone.
No, that's totally fine.
Leave it. No, whatever. Leave it. So
that's hardly weird.
But now it's like, yeah, they don't try it one at a time.
Nick, do I have to remind you? Shark repellent. And then he gets hit by the collective evil. That's what burns his face and turns him evil. So I mean, that actually kind of makes sense. I mean, actually, in a weird way, makes more sense than his origin, where he was just burned. But no, that's. I feel like on one level it does make more sense, but on the other level it makes way less sense. So I like it. I am interested in seeing it. I see Selena Kyle on the cover. I didn't see her in any of the promo stuff though. It'd be interesting. I want to see what some of the other jokes are in it, because it's like what was really funny about the first one, where some of the just the writing in it was pretty clever. So I'm really interested to see that. But yeah, otherwise just Harvey Dent being played by one of the most ridiculously over the top actors I could think of is just kind of like, yeah,
I'm down with, like, the only way it could have been better, like, the only other person I would accept as a substitute is Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
I would have accepted Nicolas Cage as well, but William Shatner is also, like, both those would have been acceptable. Now I want to see William Shatner and Nicolas Cage in a movie together.
I think that's actually a terrible idea.
Let's remake Face Off.
No, actually, that would probably end the world.
Oh, what do you mean, Mr. Shatner? It's pleasure working with you. I've been a fan of yours a long time. Why? I've been a fan of yours, you crazy.
That's
son of a bitch.
That is actually a form of apocalypse right there.
I wonder if, like, what would happen if the two would actually meet each other? Could they not touch? Like, is it like Time Cop rules?
It might be.
Where there's just too much, like, overacting charisma in one, like, entity? Like, they can't share the same space at the same time?
We can't find out. It's for the good of humanity. We never find out.
Sorry, I can't shake your... Oh my god, no! We've created a singularity! Oh, no!
Don't cross the crazies.
Yeah, but with that, we are just going to take a small music break after that, because I got to come down after that. I'm super excited. And then we'll be back. We're talking about Voltron Season 3 right after this.
Too late. My time has come. Sends shivers down my spine. Body's aching all the time. Goodbye, everybody. I've got to go. Gotta leave you all behind and face the truth. Mama. Oh. I don't want to die. I sometimes wish I'd never been born at all.
Alright, Travis, come together and we'll form UGO, the big, unapologetic geek guy with a sword thing.
Are we doing the full transformation this time, or is this just doing the
quick one?
Yeah.
Like, I think we'll do the quick one right now so we can get out of here pretty quick. But yes, we're going to be talking about Voltron, Legendary Defender, Season 3, out on Netflix. This one's a shorter season, only 7 episodes.
Which felt really weird watching it.
Yeah, me and Travis kind of like burned through it in 2 sit-downs, basically. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, it was an interesting season, to be fair. And what's interesting about it, to me, anyway, personally, if we want to just like jump right into it, I think this is actually my favorite season of the show.
And yet it has one of the least favorite decisions.
Yeah, right? Like, I don't know, how do you feel about it?
No, I feel the same way.
Okay, I thought it was like, I thought I might have been going crazy. I'm like, I think this is my favorite season that has like one of the worst fucking elements in one of the earlier like episodes. But anyway, yeah, let's get into it. The Season 3 picks up where Season 2 leaves off with the gang. It's been a while since Shiro disappeared from the last battle with Zarkon. Zarkon, who I was almost positive was dead, is actually not dead. He's actually in a coma, is being looked after by the witch lady, who has Altean markings from like the last season. Like, that was a big reveal. Oh yeah, full spoilers, by the way. We're gonna be spoiling like the living shit out of at least seasons 1 and 2. We'll keep it spoiler free up until a certain point for season 3, but then we will like give another warning for spoilers and like get the fuck out of here, so we can talk about that ending, because that ending, boy,
that was an ending.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I was so weirded, like I was weirded out by like how it was starting, because we spent a lot of time actually with the new villain, Prince Lotor. And Lotor has got to be, in my opinion, the MVP of this season, where he's like the best added new element to the show. Oh
yeah, he's one of those villains like, crap, you're charismatic, you're entertaining to watch, and you're really good at what you do.
He comes in, his first episode introduced, you just go like, oh shit, this guy's a problem. Like, he is effective, he is a charismatic leader, he leads by example. His idea of like, rather than ruling through fear, we're going to integrate the people that we conquer, that way that they're invested in our success rather than just fear us.
Which makes a lot of sense.
I'm like, shit, that makes a lot of sense, and it will be the one thing that could actually, because right now Voltron is getting the whole alliance together. Like, yeah, fuck the...
Yeah, they're building the rebellion to go against the Empire.
Yeah, fuck the Empire. Like, we're ready to go all rebel scum on their ass. Like, we're ready to go. But they're starting to lose face. Like, hey, can you guys form Voltron? Because it's kind of really important that you guys form Voltron.
We'd like to see that.
Yeah, and it's like, it's no big deal or anything. It's just that we feel a lot better if there was this giant fuck off robot that we could call on support for.
To be fair, there was a lot of cool battles in the beginning with just the lions.
Dude, I'm actually starting to think that I prefer the battles with just the lions.
Me too.
I mean, Voltron is cool and everything, but especially in this season, it felt like the coolest battles were just with the lion piloting.
Well, it gives the individual character something to do, as well as showing off abilities that Voltron really doesn't have.
Yeah, because, you know, all the different lions have their own very distinct style. You know, with Lance's blue lion being like the quick one, he was always the one that could go in water the best, which is a weird ability. Yeah. Keith's red one is the quick one,
right?
We got and then of course Hunk has like the big defending guy, like he's a big armor tank sort of thing. Pidge has like some weird like plants like bio ability that's kind of weird that I always that I kind of forget that he has.
And Shiro's is just really big.
Yeah, also it's got wings, so that's cool.
Also has wings, but they all fly.
Anyway, yeah, like, Lotor, he pops up, and he's got a whole crew of just, like, mixed, races and, like, different alien people. Like, he's got this whole Suicide crew going up. Very Azula from Season 2 of Avatar The Last Airbender. And if there's any more, like, parallels to be drawn, since these are the same guys that have done Avatar The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, this season definitely does feel like, oh, we're picking up and we're finally finding our stride a little bit.
Right.
Which is always like, you know, Avatar The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra both, like, man, those are some of my favorite animated shows ever. But you gotta admit, like, the first season of The Last Airbender and, like, the first 2 seasons of Korra, they're, like, trying to figure stuff out.
Oh, definitely. They're trying to get to where they need to be to tell the story they want.
Yeah, and it's a lot of like, we're not like, it's not sure where their lane is yet, but then like, you know, once it clicks, it's like, okay, now we know where we're at. And this season definitely feels like that season for Voltron, where it's like, okay, here's where we want to be with all these characters, and here's the story we wanted to tell. I think the one issue I have is just how they got there.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that in a minute. But Lotor definitely reminds me of like, okay, this is our Zuko / Azula, you know, / like actually interesting villain rather than just, you know, because Zarkon is just an antagonist. Like I felt nothing from this guy.
He's just an oppressive force. That's about it.
The only thing interesting about him was the end of season 1, where we found out he was the original Black Paladin leader.
Right.
And then they don't do anything with that until the end of this season.
Yes.
Which was like one of my biggest complaints of season 2.
Season 2 was really weak.
Like the more I think about it, like the more I'm like, I didn't hate season 2, but it felt like season 2 was just kind of like, yeah, okay. Like it introduced the good what do you call the kitty race? Balra, or damn it, now I can't remember. Not the Alteans, like the cat people.
Yeah. Now as soon as I hear the name,
but they were the Blade of Muramasa or something, right? Mamora. Mamora, or is it No, Gamora is one of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yes. Damn alien names. But no, yeah, Blade of Mamora. And those were like the good guys, the defectors who weren't part of the Empire. So that was a good element to add in. And yeah, so what I love most about Lotor though is that they bring in him, and like they have people like shit talking him in the middle of like this arena battle.
Well, they don't even know it's actually him.
Yeah, they have no idea it's actually him fighting the arena battle. Galra, got it. And yeah, he ends up like, hey, you guys, my spies have heard you talking shit about me and stirring shit up. Why don't you come down here and fight me for the throne yourself, hand to hand? He
calls them out and is like, fuck.
One of the dudes specifically too, and is like, God damn it. because he's like, ah, fuck, I'm stuck. Anyway, and then he like at the end of it, like he goes to him to raise his hand, like and like we should, he shows mercy to him, like we should be stronger together and do things in a different way. And you go like, oh, this is really effective. And then the next scene, he goes like, oh yeah, what do you want to do with the guy that challenged you? Oh, stick him in whatever fucking piece of shit post you can and make sure he's never a problem for me again.
Stick him on the ice planet. No one wants to be on the ice planet. And
I was like, damn it. This guy is ruthless as well as charismatic and effective. Like he knows, like I was thinking this to myself, I'm like, he'd do pretty good in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
He's like Marjorie with a little bit of like the ruthlessness that Marjorie didn't have mixed in.
Right, a little bit of Marjorie, a little bit of Cersei.
And he's just as pretty. Like, when he took off that helmet, I'm like, that is one fucking good-looking Galra. And when we find out later, like, because he's a mixed race, he's like, we'll find out later, like, what mixed race he is, and that makes more sense. He's part pretty race, apparently.
He's part pretty.
And yeah, so anyway, we should stop talking about the villain and talk about like the actual heroes of the show.
Meh.
I mean, and the heroes, they get to a point in this show where I'm like, yeah, everyone is pretty much knows where their role is, and they're still figuring stuff out. But if like the writers definitely feel more comfortable in this,
yeah.
But we do have to deal with the fact that Shiro is not there anymore and that someone needs to pilot the Black Lion. And Keith is, being a little bit of a bitch in the first couple episodes about like, Shiro's not coming back. We're not forming Voltron without him. And I'm like...
Yeah, he does that in the middle of like a parlay meeting between all the like rebel leaders.
Yeah,
and
so...
Like, Keith... Go fuck yourself. That's not helping.
So let's tackle my main problem with this season head on, because it actually happens really early. And I think it's like, episode 2, maybe 3?
Something like that.
I forget. But anyway, yeah, they have to find a new leader for the Black Lion. And Shiro wanted it to be Keith. Like, we saw that set up in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So it's not really a surprise that he does end up getting the Black Lion.
But I was really hoping it wouldn't be.
Well, it's not inherently okay, I have a hard time articulating why
I want to hear this.
Okay, here I got it. All right. The problem with this is the fact that not only is it not the greatest idea, like it's actually turns out to be a good idea with Keith, because Keith actually ends up being more interesting in a leadership role when he's learning something. Because the whole show, I've not very much liked Keith. I've liked him less and less, and the reason why is all he does is bitch about everything and just question everyone, including like leadership stuff, like from Shiro. He just like he keeps secrets from the crew that are things that he shouldn't feel like he needs to keep secret from in the beginning. And the soap opera bullshit that I hate all stems from Keith as a character. And the show, and here's the problem, is that the show thinks he's more interesting than he actually is. Because the show likes to focus on Keith's shit, a lot. And I'm like, guys, Keith is your most boring character. Like, I'm sorry to say it, Keith fans, but he's so fucking generic. Especially when you compare him to some of the other main characters from the other, Avatar. Like, this is the same people who gave us Aang as a main character. And how interesting his hero's journey was.
They also gave us Mako.
Also gave us Korra. Mako, like, that, and God, you nailed it right on the head here. It's like if they would make Mako the main character. No, the main character. Because Keith is the main character.
Yeah.
You cannot deny that Keith is the main character of this show. And, like, as much as an ensemble piece of it is, the focus always switches back to Keith. And it's fucking frustrating. Because Keith is the least interesting person to follow.
It's actually really interesting, because I remember when we were watching the first season, we didn't really like Keith or Lance that much.
And the more it went on, the more I started to like Lance.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, yeah, if anyone's just going to give Keith shit, I'm kind of on board with it. And I still feel that way somewhat. But Keith is the best in this season because he's thrust into a leadership role and he's almost immediately humbled. of like, shit, this is really hard, and I gotta think like super hard about what I'm doing. And he has like one episode where he's like, fuck, I'm not really good at this, and he's trying to get a lot, like he's really giving it his all to try and get better at it. And I'm like, okay, this is where they wanted to go, because I think the writers realized like we need to get Keith to a place where people actually like him or feel sympathetic with him, if nothing else. And here is a place where we feel sympathy for him, where he's thrust upon this role that he's not really ready for. And it's like, yeah, I actually get that. Now, here's the problem, is that the way they get him into the Black Lion is very problematic, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the way they do it is that they have everyone go like, well, we should all try and go for the Black Lion. Of course, Keith is the last one to try, even though like anyone watching the show is like, why are we even bothering with this? And the one thing about it is that they have Allura try.
She's like the first one.
And look, it's one thing if you have Keith be the Black Lion, and I would have been in the back of my mind, I would have said like, man, they should have had Allura be the Black Lion, have us switch it up out of nowhere and have her lead the team.
That's what we wanted. Like the whole time watching, it's like, wouldn't that be awesome?
Like that would be a much more awesome thing. But they want it to be more representative of the old show, where in the old show, I believe the Blue Lion pilot died and the princess took over for the Blue Lion. Like that's how it worked. So they wanted to get her and the Blue Lion.
That seems so unnecessary.
So they have to play a big game of musical giant robot lions to get her into the Blue Lion, because Keith has to go in the black, then Lance has to go to the red one, and then she gets the blue one. And it's like, God, this feels super inefficient, at least storytelling wise. And, you know, she has a moment like, she's like, we need Voltron, please let me pilot you. And she gets nothing off of the Black Lion, and then she gets nothing off of the Red Lion too, which is like, yeah, I'm actually glad she didn't get the Red Lion, because she's supposed to get, you know, the lions are supposed to be tied to your personality sort of thing, and I'm like, yeah, she's nothing like Keith, so it would be weird if she just got the Red Lion for no reason. And yeah, it's like she's already proven herself like she's a pretty good leader. It would be interesting to see her try and learn how to pilot the Lion and be the leader at the same time. We do get a little bit of that when she's piloting the Blue Lion, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And just the fact that like it would have been another strong female character. It's not like she's not a strong female character. She does end up like being a supportive role. She is very good at what she does. She actually can whoop ass. Like, remember in the end of season 1 where she was actually fighting hand-to-hand style was actually pretty cool. She gets a new whip fucking weapon in this season, which is pretty neat.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, it just feels like Keith gets it. It's hard to believe that the writers didn't go look at this and go, it's gonna look weird when we don't let the female like princess, who is much more in the leadership role, who would probably be better at this, where she's not going to get the Black Lion, but the white guy, the generic white lead, is going to get it, kind of just because Keith,
even though he spent the whole entire previous season lying to the crew, not trusting them.
And that's the biggest thing, is that, Jesus guys, you can't let it be such a drawn parallel. Like, I wouldn't, if I was writing it and I needed Keith in the Black Lion, we need to do that. Okay, then have Allura go like, I'm not a paladin, I'm much more comfortable in the support role, in this leadership role where I'm piloting the ship or whatever.
Very least, don't have her be like the first one to try.
Well, and then maybe have, if you want her in the Blue Lion, have the Blue Lion call her specifically and like, look, we need you to do this, and then have her like, fuck, okay, if you really need me to do this, then I'll do this. But the fact that she tries so hard for the Black and the Red Lion,
heartbreaking.
And it's like, well, what the fuck, guys? Like, they knew this was important to her, like, to help out. And yeah, she gets the Blue Lion, but it's like it's hard to not feel like it's some kind of consolation prize.
It's her third choice.
And I'm look, I don't mean to be like, I mean, I guess I do mean to be, you know, representative of like a feminist movement here, but it is I don't know. You visit Tumblr. Are people pissed about this? I feel like people...
I don't follow much for Voltron.
Okay,
that's too much gay shipping. Too much Shiro and Keith shipping. I'm like, I won't go there.
Oh, okay.
That's a dark place.
That is a dark place.
Because I don't like Keith. So
right. Well, even Shiro is kind of the bland leader character, but you like him. You like him a little bit more.
Yeah, he's a little more charismatic. But the biggest problem I have with this is that we keep going back to the fact that these were the people that made Avatar.
I know, and it's really hard to believe that they would do something this fucking ham-handed. And the only thing that really saves it is that it leads to a lot of good shit later.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of, like, the setup of the crew when, Shiro actually comes back later. Mm-hmm. After an episode where it's, basically it should be called Shiro Alone.
Yes.
Like,
old man Shiro.
Because we've had Zuko alone, Koro alone, now it's time for Shiro alone, where he's just, like, all on this ice planet, which is, like, fucking awesome, which I liked. And he comes back and there's immediate tension, be like, oh, who's the leader now? Who do we follow? Mm-hmm. And they handle it, like, very well in the show. And I was just like, because after that episode, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch more of this because I really like a lot of the other stuff in this show. But I was really put off after that episode and the show had to win me back, and it begrudgingly did so because the rest of the show is so fucking well written.
Well, I really got annoyed by the one episode where, the villains actually like lead them into this gas planet.
Yeah.
And it basically, it shows, Keith being super ineffective as like a leader. He just does a terrible job and he gets them all really trapped. And it shows Allura basically surviving on her own without any leadership and learning how to pilot this lion she's never been in on the fly. And yet at the very end of the episode, it kind of feels like you're supposed to take back, oh, this is now now Keith's the leader. Now it's all okay. I'm like, no, why is Allura's accomplishments being given to Keith? Like, that's what the whole episode felt like to me, and I felt really grossed out.
I didn't get the feeling that Allura's accomplishments were being led to Keith. I felt like the show again goes to Keith and go like, well, Keith learned a lesson, and I'm like, okay, but is it going to be one of those lessons that Keith has learned in the previous seasons where he forgets it a couple episodes later? And this time, it's not. And that was the thing that was surprising to me, is that after that episode, he doesn't really do anything like that again. He actually keeps it in his mind of like, I really fucked up that time, I can't do that again.
Yeah.
And in the later episodes, we see that he is still very intent on fighting the enemy, like he's very impulsive, but he's trying to fight against his instinct. And I'm like, okay, shit, that's actually a really good idea to show progression for Keith's character. It still confuses me as to why like the Lion chooses him when it's like, yeah, but it seems like he's still not a very fucking effective leader.
No.
Like,
he has a really steep learning curve on how to treat other people and how to act as a leader.
Well, even Lance, where he could have the episode of him bitching about how he didn't get the Black Lion, he's like, no, dude, the Black Lion chose you, and for whatever reason, it chose you, and you gotta do this. Like, you can't be all, like, emo Keith about this like you usually are. You gotta get in the fucking pilot, get in the fucking lion, and be our leader, because that's what we need you to be right now. And it makes me really like Lance a lot more, because it was just like, when the chips were down, Lance nutted up and did what he needed to do almost without any hesitation. No. He was like, no, I need to back off and support Keith now.
He became the best man, where it's like, no, I've got to do this role.
No, he fucking swallowed his pride and did what he needed to do to save the fucking day. And I was like,
this is the same character who tried to flirt his way into his own lion.
Yes! I mean, he's still not all that bright, but I think he's kind of a badass now. And I was just like, damn, I'm really like, and of course that wouldn't have happened if Keith hadn't become the leader. We wouldn't have got that great. There's so many great moments with Lance and Keith in this season where Lance is like, you know what? Sometimes I may disagree with how you lead us and stuff, but in the moment, in the heat of battle, I got your back. Like, I will always have your back. And I'm like, shit, this is good development for both these characters. And it just reminds me of like when I was, I think I mentioned this when we were watching it, the episode of Buffy, where spoilers for Buffy, but where one of the main female characters dies in it. Was it like season 6, I think? Yeah. Anyway, like one of our most lovable sub characters dies, as well as the episode where Spike almost tries to rape Buffy.
Yeah, that happened.
And that's such like, oh god, that's like the worst episode of that show. Like it's like the worst thing. Like it does two things that I like super do not agree with in this show. I'm like, god, these two things feel like they were big mistakes. But then in the later episodes, it's like a lot of really interesting things come from these decisions. Yeah. And I feel like the same way about this one, where the dynamic between the characters, the way they play off of each other.
I'm sorry, we're comparing Keith becoming the leader to Buffy getting raped.
Yeah.
That just is really weird.
And I know they're not equivalent. Don't get me wrong, one is worse than the other.
It's true.
Yeah, Keith is totally worse. No, that's not even funny.
It just shows how much we dislike Keith, that's all.
No, I say that I don't hate Keith. I actually I just dislike his character, and he's obviously for me he's totally the least interesting out of the whole crew. And I still feel that way, but to a much lesser extent in this season.
I still kind of feel that way.
And yeah, we've been on that for a while, but it was one of the things that I don't know how everyone else felt about it.
I think I said it out loud. I don't want to watch this anymore.
Yeah,
when it happened.
You did. You were like, you were like, I'm pretty sure I'm out. I'm like, I'm gonna give it one more, and I gave it one more, and I'm like, oh, this is actually not this is not awful. It's still doing some stuff I don't like. And then the episode after that, I'm kind of like, with Lotor coming in, I'm like, God, Lotor is so good in this. I kind of want to keep watching for him.
Yeah.
And yeah, throughout this season, Lotor, he plans missions. He's very meticulous. He's methodical. He doesn't get overextended. They wipe out a town fucking single-handed, like him and his crew.
Him and his 4 people.
Yeah, him and his whole Suicide Squad of Magnificent Seven style bad guys. With some chameleon chick that can turn invisible, some weird lizard guy that can't see but can see through some magical cat.
Yes.
This big brawler chick, and then his kind of second in command, the chick in the helmet,
who we've met before.
Who we met before with a previous episode with Keith, where he had to fight some Galra off with this chick, and it's because. They show Lotor and some in this crew fighting Galra for their whatever their own weird goals are, and it's you can't help but go shit, this is really interesting. I'm really intrigued as to what his goals are.
He's a really good villain,
and I'm in the tank for Lotor. I want to see where his character goes. And yeah, they take out this town that was just liberated by Voltron, and they take it out before they can call Voltron back in. And it's and they give him how would you like to be part of the Empire? They give him an offer he can't refuse, And it's real interesting. Up until later where they're oh, well, we could capture Voltron, so let's make these guys call him and lure Voltron into a trap.
Yeah.
And the weird thing about it is that if they had gone full Zarkon in that moment, they probably would have won.
Possibly, yeah.
Because the team was so fucked up and fractured at that point. But
they didn't really know that.
No, they didn't know. For all they know is that as far as they know, Voltron could easily form Voltron and just kick their asses. Yeah. So this is basically just an information gathering mission for Lotor. And as soon as he sees the other, the last lion come out, and them all form together, he's okay, we're out of here then.
Let's go.
And they full retreat. And yeah, it is frustrating for Keith, which is because he's so used to fighting the other enemies who are fight to the death type enemies. He's not used to an enemy that fights so tactically smart.
The Galra really weren't into retreat before.
No, and everyone has to change up their battle strategy, and it seems like everyone else has a lot easier time adjusting than Keith does. Cause Keith is very much into just kind of we gotta take this down, we gotta fight, until the last breath, and everyone around him's kind of we gotta really be smart about this. And it actually culminates to a moment that I really like later in the series where we see Lotor stealing what's it called? Like the big gem thing.
The teledove.
Yeah, the teledove, which is like, it opens up like that rift or whatever, that we saw back in season 1.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh shit, that's really bad. Like he should not have that. Well, the Golra shouldn't have that specifically, but he's starting to steal it. And he has to, they make, after a cool, like, cause they make a new ship out of like the same material that Voltron's made out of.
Yeah, cause we had a whole entire, like, side episode that it seemed like a side episode where they went to an alternate universe.
Yeah, they went to an alternate universe where the Golra didn't win, where instead Allura didn't get frozen and she led a counterattack against the Golra, and it turned out that the Alteans became the fucking Imperial Empire.
Through mind slavery.
Oh, yeah. And
for some reason, Shiro's Canadian?
Yes! That was so funny. Or Swedish. I don't know what his accent was, but it was hilarious.
He had an accent.
Hello! Hello! I don't understand what you're going. I love that episode. I think that was one of my favorite episodes of the season.
It's pretty entertaining.
It was fucking hilarious.
We meet that weird little scientist guy we met in the previous season.
And he's kind of a badass in this universe, where he's kind of like the same, calculating guy, but he's on the side, like he's been a rebel this entire time, so he's like way more of a badass, and it's super cool.
Oh, good, that probability worked out for me. Like, you just blew people up. Okay.
Yeah, and it was interesting to me. It gave Keith a moment to be the voice of reason, which Keith gets a couple more moments in this season, which are important. It lets us like him a little bit more. And then in that, what we were talking about previously is the ship made out of the material, starts fighting them, and they have to make Shiro goes to him and is like, okay, you're in command here of the ground force. Like, and I really like that element too, by the way, is Shiro being the guy in the chair.
Yeah.
Like, that's a cool place for him to be, coaching Keith through being the ground leader. And I'm like, God, that's a good element and another good outcome of Keith being in the Black Lion, which is, again, like, I mean, as much as I don't like Keith being in the Black Lion, at this point now, I feel like, damn it, the benefits kind of outweigh how shitty they handled getting him in there.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoy the later episodes where him learning about the stuff, the camaraderie between him and Shiro, that mentor relationship. Like, almost every relationship has benefited from that, which is so weird. I didn't think that was going to happen.
I'll begrudgingly agree, but I won't like it.
Right. I don't expect you to like it, because I'm kind of in the same way of like, I have to like...
I still don't like you.
Because I don't like changing my mind about anything. And I'm like, fuck, I kind of like... I'm still mad, but I'm like on board, I guess. Anyway, yeah, Keith has to make a big decision. Like, okay, we can either go after the ship, the new advanced ship, or we can destroy the, what's it called? Like
the teledove.
The teledove that they're trying to get away with.
It's the part of the teledove.
Because it's like we gotta either take out the ship, which is way too fast for us, we might not get it, or we gotta turn around and shoot at the ship, and we're gonna leave ourselves vulnerable. And Keith has to make like in the heat of the moment decision, like, fuck, what do I do? Do I follow my instincts and chase down the ship, or do I leave Voltron vulnerable and try and take out the thing? And he, at the last minute, he kind of does the best of both worlds, where he looks like he faints, like he's gonna take out the thing, and then the ship shoots at him, like, I got him, he's vulnerable, and he flips out of the way, and the ship itself is actually the thing that destroys the teledove.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck yeah! Like, you're kind of like, you actually pump your fist in the air for Keith, like, that was like, damn it, that was a good decision.
Also really pissed off Lotor.
Oh yeah, there's only a couple moments in this season where Lotor is actually on the losing end of the fight, where shit just doesn't go his way, and that was like one of them, and you can see it in his face, like, yeah, I'm not
gonna roll for this.
I'm not. We will discuss your failure when you get back. And I'm like, ooh, that ain't good. But yeah, that was a cool moment for him. But yeah, anyway, like, I just feel like this season was surprisingly, like, after that initial stumble in the beginning, was like the best writing this season as this show has ever had. I don't know, like, what else did you feel about it before we go into too heavy of a spoiler section? Because I kind of want to talk about the last episode.
Yeah, to be honest, like, this season did start off really rough for me, but I will admit that at the end of it, I did enjoy a lot of it. But I mostly did kind of like the final episode, which is kind of its own standalone thing. It kind of does remind me a lot of the is it season 2 of Avatar? With the Avatar origin story.
Yeah.
And that's what this episode's like finale kind of reminds me of. I'm like, okay, this actually has like it tells the history of what's been happening, and that's actually way more interesting. That's what's been going on in general.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that I just don't understand why we haven't been told this before. Like it feels weird to like, because like all like the princess and her, I don't want to say servant, but I feel like I don't know like if there's a better word for him. But they've kind of known this the whole time, haven't they?
They should have.
Yeah, I mean, at least they should have. And I'm like, yeah, why have we not got this information until now? This is very important to kind of understand where a lot of the conflicts and stuff come from. But yeah, it was really interesting to see that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that once we hit up the spoiler section. But yeah, this is was my favorite season so far. And if I were to give it a rating, I'd give it like a 4 out of 5, like super high, which is surprising. After the first 2 episodes, I'm kind of like, this is probably going to be my least favorite season of the show. And I just cannot stress enough how surprised I am that they turned it around on me and really made me turn around my opinion of the show in only a few episodes. It was very impressive.
I think, I don't know if I've rated the other seasons, sure, what I did rate them, but I really can't get this any higher than a 7.
No?
Because even though I do like it, and it might be my favorite season overall, there was still a point where I was watching it and decided I don't want to anymore.
Yeah.
And I barely made it through actually continue watching it. I'm glad I did, but there was... If I wasn't watching it with you, I might have not finished it, period.
Well, it's actually better that the moment came earlier, for me, because for me it's always better for a show to end strong.
True.
So I'm glad that we got that shit out of the way in the beginning. Especially with a show with it only has 7 episodes. Because I think my main problem with that episode of Buffy we were talking about earlier is that it was almost the end. Like, it was the last 3 episodes or whatever that was in. And it was like, out of a pretty lackluster season, to be honest as well. It's like my least favorite season of Buffy to begin with.
Yeah.
And then like, and then like for that to happen at the very end, I'm kind of like, well, fuck this. Like, so I'm actually glad that we kind of got that out of the way if it needed to get done.
Week.
But yeah, we're for those of you who don't want to haven't caught up with the show completely yet, we're gonna go into a small spoiler section for like the very end of the end episode. Okay, if you want to just skip ahead and join us next week, that's fine. Always you can always hit us up on any of our social media pages to let us know what you thought about this episode, what your thoughts on our Voltron season 3, like what did you guys have as much of a problem with it as much as it just does? Like, I want to get a feel for what other people are feeling about that beginning episode, because I'm interested in seeing if the response is similar as to how I felt.
Or hey, if you just want to contact me and tell me that the Shiro and Keith chip is the best one, whatever.
I'm much more a Keith and Lance guy myself. Leith for life. Or would it be Cance?
That
doesn't sound
weird.
Right. That sounds not great.
Sounds like a disease.
Yeah, I came out with a bad case of Cance.
Like between cancer and crabs? I don't know. No.
Anyway, yeah. So, spoilers. For any of you who don't want any spoilers, get out of here right now. You have 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Where are we starting?
So, let's just get to the last episode, because the backstory is like the most interesting part to me.
Yeah. Because really, Voltron's story itself doesn't really end here. It doesn't even actually go very far. They kind of just getting their gears back.
No, it's very much a setup, basically. Like, it does feel like a first half of a season, really. And they do the flashback to Zarkon and Princess Allura's dad, who I can't remember the name of right now.
Yeah, I'm terrible at names.
Like, I'm not very good with names to begin with. I'm much better with the normal, human names, as much as, Lance and Keith. Because Lance is such a normal name.
At least you've heard it before in a person.
Yeah. But yeah, we have Zarkon. It shows them being like this military force of like a coalition of all these different alien races.
Even though they sometimes enemies still.
Even though, yeah, because even like they even show that the Galra were still kind of militaristic, but they, for the good of the rest of the galaxy, they developed this some sort like this Power Rangers group basically, and that was like interesting to me. I was like, oh man, this is really neat. I kind of like this whole like mentality of this special forces group of like a bunch of the leaders of these alien races going on special ops missions.
And it's Alfor.
Alfor, that's what it is. Sounds like the fucking dragon from Neverending Story. Balfour. But yeah, anyway, they find that they work pretty well together. They cover
each other's weaknesses.
Anyway, they're basically like a Voltron team before Voltron even shows up.
Right.
And speaking of Voltron, the meteor actually shows up that we've been told that Voltron was made out of said meteor. The meteor crashes down. It's got some weird fucking properties about it. They kind of start studying it. They start to build certain materials out of it and stuff. They kind of study like this weird element that apparently is like from another Nexus kind of dimension.
Yeah.
Like this, what do they call it? Like it's kind of like antimatter or dark matter or some, I forget, they had a name for it. But it kind of functions like antimatter or whatever. But it's kind of alive as well. It's like sentient.
Yeah.
Anyway, that shit goes bad. They have to create the lions, like the Prince Alfor creates the lions, basically, like kind of like, I'm not sure how I created them, but it was weird how like my hands moved on their own sort of thing. Kind of reinforcing that the Voltron robots are basically science magic.
Yes.
Like,
not only that, but like, yeah, they basically made themselves. You mean they chose to be cats? Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
Alright, whatever.
Yeah, that's basically how it went down. And yeah, the interesting thing about that was just the fact that the Zarkon ended up being the leader of the Black Line because he was just the militaristic leader type guy, and he was pretty effective at it. Like, what was weird to me is that you expect Zarkon to turn like out of nowhere and be kind of more of a douche, but he's kind of a nicer type guy. Like he's invested in his people, and he marries an Altean, one of the
scientist that actually studies the quintessence.
Yeah, and she does some weird fucked up stuff with the antimatter again, and it keeps on kind of like, well, we're gonna keep studying it, and like Prince, like, because they have to, once it goes bad, they have to go and fight it with the Voltron, and like they fight it with the lions, they form Voltron, and manage to defeat the giant fuck off like antimatter monster.
Yeah.
And they're like, yay, we won, and these lions are pretty cool, let's keep using these. And there's a indeterminate amount of time, like it seems like years that they go around and just kind of kick ass.
Well, we at least can assume it's longer than a lifespan of a cat.
Yeah, and they kind of go around, tool around, and kick ass with these fucking lion bots for a while. All the while, Zarkon's new bride is studying this dark matter, and it seems to be affecting her and Zarkon's minds.
Yep.
Like it's slowly corrupting them, like the One Ring or something. Like the longer you're kind of exposed, or the longer you're around this sort of thing, it starts to fucking corrupt you. Kind of like Reaper tech or something.
A little bit,
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, like it starts to kill them, or kill her too. She's the one that's like been studying it the most. And Zarkon has to come to this decision, like, fuck, like the only way I know how to save her is to basically betray the rest of the team and just like bathe ourselves in this anti-quintessence dark magic shit. And he does that, and like the rest of the team is like, fuck, oh shit, they try and save him, and it's like, oh shit, he's dead. Anyway, well, we gotta like blow up his planet in order to save everyone else. Like they managed to evacuate the planet, but they have to blow it up because of the fucking
wormhole between X to ultimate dimension.
Which Alvo was like, I don't want to say I told you so, but I fucking told you so.
Kinda did.
Anyway, Zarkon wakes back up and is like, hey, what the shit's going on? Sir, you died? Yeah? Why'd you let him blow up the planet? 'Cause you died, sir. Yeah, anyway, fuck those guys. We're gonna go fuck them up.
Mm-hmm. They betrayed us. We gotta kill them all.
Yeah, and that's what leads to the war.
Yeah.
And it turns out that his wife is actually the witch, and that's why she has Altean markings on her.
Yeah, and she also didn't remember any of that shit.
No, and they've established that whatever it is, like, fucking messes with your minds.
Yeah.
And they died and came back to life with it.
Some Pet Cemetery shit going on there.
You don't bury him in that quadrant of Voltron. He come back different. We do the Pet Cemetery impression every time. But yeah, I thought, like, as weird as it is to go out on a backstory episode, it was like another one of my favorite episodes of the show.
A really good episode.
It was like a fucking really good episode. I was just like, and I was really interested to see some of the other aliens there too. Like, because it was some of the other races we've already seen, and they were back when they were prominent. But yeah, that was some good shit. I'm really interested to see what Lotor is going to do. Like, he's half Gara, half Altean.
Yeah.
Like, so that's interesting to know. That's probably why he's so pretty.
Also, the cat that one of his teammates has is the cat of his mother.
I'd assume it looks the exact fucking same. Like, they haven't confirmed it yet, but, like, yeah, I would assume that's the same fucking
pretty
cat.
Sure it is.
Because apparently it can make you live for fucking ever. So yeah, that was weird. Anyway, that brings us to an end for this episode. Join us next week for GeekCon. We'll be at GeekCon next week.
Yeah, I guess that is next week.
Gonna be fun. Gonna be a real good time. So hopefully we'll record while maybe on site there Friday night and get the episode up the next day. I'll have to edit in a pinch, but I think I can do it. I've done it before.
And I guess if by off chance my cousin's listening to us, we're coming for you.
Anyway, yes, thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you want to hit us up and let us know what you guys thought of Voltron Season 3, or maybe give us another new show that we can watch and review, we would love to hear suggestions. Tweet us at Twitter at UGO Podcast. Message us on Facebook. Give us a like while you're there. Follow us on Instagram. It's also at UGO Podcast. Or maybe just drop us an email at unapologeticgeekout@gmail.com. And with that, until next week, I'm a leg!
Oh, God.
We're both legs, actually. Like,
we used that joke already.
But we already do? Oh, okay. Well, then, in that case, then, we are Unapologetic Geek Out, and we're out. On legs!
Nazi punks, Nazi punks, Nazi punks, fuck up! Nazi punks, Nazi punks, Nazi punks, fuck up! You come to fuck, get out of here! You ain't no better than bouncers! We get drunk, we too easy, we ain't the tough, it ain't out of game! Nazi punks, Nazi punks, Nazi punks, fuck up! Nazi punks, Nazi punks, Nazi punks, fuck